Did you just get a message that we're having trouble going live?
We're having trouble streaming to Instagram, is the one I just got.
Yeah. I mean, we're live.
Oh, we're live. Oh, okay. Well, welcome everybody to Undrafted Uncensored.
Hold on.
Oh, hang on.
Welcome to the Undrafted Uncensored cast of pod. Hosted by Nick Archuleta. Mosted by Colin Zanker. And last but certainly is least, Joseph Goodwin.
Welcome everyone to Undrafted Uncensored, where, congratulations, Philadelphia. You did what America wanted you to do.
You know, yes, you beat the Chiefs. The nightmares ended, just like I predicted all along. Fly, Eagles, fly. The best team in the NFL this whole year. The team that, nobody thought could do it except for myself. I am very proud to say that that my whole jinx worked and my whole charade. It was all a play.
Charade, okay.
It was all a play.
It was all a ruse.
Did you understand what I was doing here, America? The Chiefs can't be beat. They're unbeatable. Everything that I did was all for this culmination, for a complete and utter domination of the Eagles over the Chiefs from start to finish, except for one last touchdown, which cost me $200.
I'm going to be honest. I had like 4 different parlays going, and all of them were all destroyed by the stellar defense of the Philadelphia Eagles and a lack of any offensive production from Patrick Mahomes. I don't care. I will take a Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl championship over the money I could have won because that was fun.
No, that's the problem. The Eagles defense, which played so great, gives up a touchdown at the end, and instead of the Chiefs having the last number being 4, and the Eagles having 0, which they had, it ends it at 2.
Oh, man.
I had the final square for 4-0. Chiefs 4, Eagles 0. And they give up a 60-yard touchdown, whatever, to Xavier Worthy.
Really, you can blame them for the 2-point conversion.
But that wouldn't matter. It would have been 0-0. I wouldn't have had that either.
Oh, yeah.
I had 4-0.
The
defense played so damn good, and then they let Mahomes chuck one up to Xavier Worthy.
Well, they had to give him a little bit of his confidence back.
No, they didn't. They didn't need to do anything.
It was all over the floor.
They ruined him all day.
That was all over the carpet.
I mean, that was really, in all actuality, I mean, what the Eagles did in this game, their defensive presence, I know is talked about on the broadcast, but rushing, their blitz rate, only rushing 4 basically all game long, getting to Mahomes, pressuring him. 2 turnovers in the game.
1 pick six.
Yeah, one was a pick 6, which almost, if Jalen Hurts didn't get that 3rd touchdown, I think one of the defensive guys might have gotten it. I might have gotten a payday that way too. That's all right. I mean, in all honesty, Vic Fangio should get the MVP of this game.
I was going to say they got it wrong on the broadcast. The MVP was not Jalen Hurts. It was Vic Fangio.
Yeah.
And Fangio's had plenty of time to face this offense too, not only as the head coach of the Broncos, but just as a defensive coordinator. He has more tape on that team probably than a lot of other coaches do. He took advantage of it, and he showed how smart and how good he really is.
Like I said, it was phenomenal. I mean, it was amazing to watch that defense really just, confuse Mahomes, mess with him. They didn't allow him to do anything that he wanted to do all game long. It was pretty unbelievable that, that it got to, that it got to the end, and it was just, it was over by the third quarter.
Yeah.
they didn't really have any answer. And we do want to thank everyone for joining us. I know we jumped on to X and Twitter a little bit late, so there were some going live things in Instagram also. Thank you everyone who's watching and tuning in. We do appreciate you. Make sure you like and subscribe, and you'll get the notifications when we go live, especially if sometimes we say we're going to go at like 3:30 and we end up going at 4. Things happen. But tonight, as we wrap up this football season, thank you everybody. And it's just like to go back to where we were with the Eagles. They talk about being a selfless team. It's one player away. That's what one player away looks like for an NFL team. They got Saquon Barkley and they transformed. And Saquon Barkley is a hell of a player. But when you look at their roster and you've looked at them over the years, last year, Jalen Hurts got hurt. Let's not forget that his injury last year really kind of derailed what the Eagles were trying to do. They were really damn good. But when they got Saquon and you get a guy with that type of offensive line who, should have rushed for 2,100 yards this season, easily could have. And I know today was it wasn't a good day for Saquon, but the reason why the Eagles, that's the reason why the Eagles won was because the Chiefs, their sole focus was on stopping Saquon, and they held him to like 50 yards rushing. He still had 40 yards receiving out of the backfield, but that opened everything up for Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, 57 yards on the ground, 40 in the air. And like you said, that's exactly what a good running game can do for you. It will divert their focus somehow, some way, because everybody knows how good Jalen Hurts and that receiving core is. They can play off each other no matter what. But you throw a running game in there now you have to focus on a running game with a man who can run people over. Those backs were still taking hits too when he would get even those 3, 4, 5 yard gains. He's still running hard and he's still putting power into those runs. And I mean, it was amazing to see. It's the balance and the ability to draw the Chiefs in with that run game and open up deep. Whew, beautiful.
Yeah, and that's, to bring this full circle back to what we know and love, and that's our Denver Broncos. Like, there are pieces that you have to build upon to win a championship. And when you look at a team like the Eagles, you really see how much it takes to get that close. If you don't have Jalen Hurts is a very good quarterback. I think there are moments where he's really great. He has great attributes, but I don't consider him, as far as exactly a quarterback, elite. Like, he's very good. And I don't mean this as a slight, but his passing isn't as crisp as some of those guys, but his running ability is up there. Is he one of the best runners in the NFL? He's not one of the toughest, because you look at Josh Allen as being like the toughest guys, but he's got a lot of like intangibles. And as a Broncos fan, you kind of hope Bo Nix becomes like Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of the ceiling that I would see. I don't know if I could see him surpassing a guy like Jalen Hurts. They have a lot of similarities, I think, in their game. Now, that also can mean he could get injured. I don't know where that's going to stack up for his career. It's still a little early. But for the Broncos, when you look at the Eagles, they have two really good wide receivers. One that's a definitive number one on almost any team in A.J. Brown. And then you have Devonta Smith, who's damn good. Could be a one, maybe on a team, most likely, but he's definitely a two. He's a really good two.
Yeah.
And the Broncos, you need that aspect too to that game to help it out, because you can get that running game, but if you don't have, well, and then I didn't even mention Goddard there.
You just beat me to it. I was going to say, and then you got to add the tight end in there too.
Yeah,
get those underneath routes and can clear paths
with those patch catchers. So you have to have some sort of threat that's not your main guy, because when your main guy gets shut down, just like Saquon, in the world of Saquon Barkley, he got shut down tonight.
Yeah,
I'm just going to go that way, even though 90 yards. I mean, we would die for 90 yards
Yeah,
completely
we'd be
from
celebrating
any-
right now.
from any Broncos back. But when you get your main guy shut down, you have to have other guys step up and other players make plays. And this is where I turn it to the Broncos. The Broncos have some guys, but they don't have those playmaking guys. If their number one gets shut down, the next guy is not the guy who can step up and make those types of plays. And, Bo Nix isn't there yet. Like I said, can he get there? I think his ceiling, could be a Jalen Hurts type, which not bad.
That's not
But
a bad quarterback.
up until now, we were talking about like there were talks of should the Eagles stick with Jalen Hurts? Is he really going to lead them to a Super Bowl? So
He
you
gets
have
hurt
to
too
remember
much.
those questions were there, and I mean it's also Philadelphia asking those questions, so take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah. So real quick, just to kind of divert to the halftime show, I was watching the halftime show, and did you see the guys up on the streetlights throughout? So obviously the stage was meant to mimic a street.
Yeah.
And so they had
with the car.
streetlights. And so I turned to my parents and I told them, this is predicting who's going to win, right? Because you got all these people on the streetlights, and only Philadelphia does that. They had to grease the poles how many times?
Right.
And so I was like, this is telling you who's going to win. It's all Philly right now.
Well, did you hear about the warnings down in New Orleans too about climbing the streetlights because they're so old?
No.
Like before the game even happened, New Orleans sent out warnings, and there was a guy in Philadelphia a young kid, I think he was 18 or 19, who fell off a streetlight celebrating.
Yeah, I think I saw that video.
Their champion. Well, no, he's permanently damaged.
Oh,
like hospital, like brain damage. Maybe they might have. I mean,
I thought I saw that
down a
video.
notch, but he might have been taken off of life support. Actually,
wow.
I do think I remember that. So they were giving warning in New Orleans about climbing the lampposts and everything like that because of how old the structures are and the infrastructure down there is, and how vulnerable they would be to weight being put on them. And yeah, the cops are going to be there and everything like that, but there's no way that any city has the amount of police force to watch everything. So you got to kind of, hopefully people, the liquid courage and the excitement doesn't overflow everything. I hope everyone is safe out in New Orleans. But yeah, there were warnings sent out like, don't climb because the infrastructure is not as strong as it is in other cities.
Yeah.
They're built below sea level.
Well, and you got to think too. I mean, not that it was, last year, but Katrina wasn't that long ago, really.
No.
And they're still trying to recover from that.
Yeah.
And there have been a couple other storms that have come through lately. And, add on top of that, you got cops on edge already anyway because of New Year's.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's a lot going on down there at once. You don't want to press your luck right now in Nolans.
Yeah.
You want to?
Yeah. You can, go to the casino to press your luck if you want now, but don't climb on stuff. To go back to the game. I don't know. I'm really excited. Like I said, that the Chiefs, their reign is over, and I know
it wasn't official. It wasn't an official problem either. It was straight domination by the Eagles. There were a couple questionable calls.
First two.
Here we go again.
First two drives.
Yep.
One for the Eagles, one for the Chiefs.
Yep. But I mean, for the most part, the officials stayed out of it. And again, it was just Vic Fangio owned that offense. He must have land out there in Kansas City right now because he's about to be named mayor as much as he owned that team last night or tonight.
Yeah, he just, the way that they dialed everything up and it was correct. Mahomes the Chiefs have gotten away with it all year long. It's talked about how many single digit games they won and how close it was. And from the start, it was just like the Eagles were the better team. The Eagles played a better game. And I think that first A.J. Brown offensive pass interference call on him, the Eagles kind of said, you know what? We're not going to let the refs take this from us. We're not going to put it in their hands. And from that point on, everything you saw there was no doubt. I mean, Jake Elliott having to kick three field goals
Three.
twice.
Yep.
Like there was just no doubt about it. They didn't want it to be in the refs' hands. They didn't want any outside sources, influencing this, and they did it. Which in the end, I mean, as excited as we are, this was a pretty crappy Super Bowl. Like, it's exciting because the Chiefs lost, but the Super Bowl really did suck because it was a blowout and it was a no doubter.
They kept bringing up the Broncos.
What?
They kept bringing up the Broncos.
Fangio, I know.
No, not even Fangio, just the deficits too. Largest deficit since the Seahawks. Largest deficit since the the Giants. I think it was that Super Bowl. It was the Redskins. I can't remember now. Yeah, Redskins. I was like, stop with the Broncos already.
Doug Williams. Yeah. I like I said, when we look back, is this going to be one of those great Super Bowls? No. It really wasn't. It was a blowout. Eagles looked like they were playing with house money. They were there having fun, and the Chiefs felt the pressure from jump, and it seemed like their young guys didn't really step up. I mean, even some of their veterans, DeAndre Hopkins didn't get a catch until the second half, had two drops he had two targets in the first half, I want to say, and then catch one. Finally started to get some things going once the game was out of hand.
Garbage time, basically.
Yeah, it just, you could tell maybe, I mean, it just seemed like the Chiefs let the pressure get to them at the end. And I didn't think that was going to happen, but, they were on the cusp of history, and all the stories of, is this Kelsey's last game? The injury, the injuries, the things that they went through, the players they let go, where Mahomes sits in the echelon of, Brady Tower.
Yeah.
Like that, all those things seem to get to them, and the Eagles went out and just
owned the day.
Out.
They owned the day. I mean, that's all there is to it. This is one of those Super Bowls where, like, personally, you love it and you'll always remember it because, especially as Broncos fans, there's no three-peat. We don't have to listen to any of that garbage. We can go to the Broncos Chiefs game next year at Mile High, and we don't have to listen to three-peat or anything stupid like that because you lost.
Yeah, and now the Broncos have the winning streak on their side. I mean, it's not a streak, but they have the winning.
You got to start somewhere.
They won the last one.
In order to get score, you got to start with one.
Yeah, and so it's for the Chiefs in a way. Like I said, I know I was being very sarcastic in the way that the Chiefs are going to win it all. There's a part of me that would have loved to have seen history. Like there's a part that's like, okay, cool. It would have been cool to witness history, but at the end of the day, I mean, I'm happy that my division foes didn't win it. I'm happy that the team that I have to root against, 17 weeks out of the year, basically, to lose, that they weren't victorious here. Like that is fulfilling as a Broncos fan.
Yes.
The football fan in me did say it would be cool to witness that in my lifetime. I just, it wasn't the Patriots. It's not the Chiefs. Maybe if it's not one of those two teams, I'd be a little bit more okay with it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know who else I would say I would be okay with. But like, I just feel like watching that team do it, especially because the Broncos have been, the Chiefs have been the Broncos daddy for years.
Well, what's funny too is, like, I mean, the last three-peat champion was probably the Yankees in any sport. It has
to be.
And so, like,
basketball, it hasn't.
I don't think it happened. I mean, I'd have to rely on you for that more than me. And obviously, it's never happened in the NFL. The problem, I think, with this one, though, too, is there's so much Chiefs fatigue because, the last 8 years has been the Chiefs doing something and just continuing to show up in the playoffs over and over and over again. Whereas, in the 90s, the Yankees were the dominant team, but they only won women's club basketball, maybe. My brother
Yeah,
chiming in there.
the Yukon with Gino Ariema, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. Good
they
call, Matt.
definitely won 3 in a row.
Good call. So, I mean, but I mean, part of the problem too is I'm comparing this to the Yankees, who, unless you're a Yankees fan, everybody hates watching the Yankees win anyway. But it didn't feel like there was as much anger and frustration when the Yankees took those 3 in a row compared to this Chiefs team, where it's a constant. You just groan when they win.
Well, the way I say it, that I put it with the Yankees too, is that they all those championships, they had some of the same players, but there were also new faces on there.
Yeah, Ruben
And for
Sierra, and yeah,
you had some new faces, so it wasn't the same guys that you kind of got sick of. And with the Chiefs, maybe you got a little sick of how Mahomes was being treated in the NFL, and the ref treatment there. That's definitely part of it.
yeah.
But it was the other stuff outside when you saw the stuff with Brittany, you saw the stuff with Jackson. Obvious you had those outside things happening. I know there was obviously the Super Bowl they lost where Andy Reid's son got in trouble beforehand. You had all of this other noise, and they just you became tired of listening to them do it because they just they had Tyreek Hill, then they shipped him off, and then they brought in another guy, and you had
They
the
brought in
Rashee
P Ryan of
Rice
all people.
situation, and you got tired of it. But that's also part of the NFL ruling everything. All the stuff that the Yankees did in the offseason. I mean, the only stuff that was talked about during the Yankees three piece was probably baseballs given to ladies in the limos on their way home.
The Jeter gift baskets, okay.
Okay, and gift
He's a
basket
gentleman. He's a gentleman.
afterwards, which didn't even come out until way later on.
Yeah.
But with the NFL and the press that there now is, even in the 90s, there wasn't as much press. It wasn't as accessible. You didn't have all of this access to all the players like we do now. So it wasn't like we got as tired of it as quickly. And we did with the Chiefs and all the kind of surrounding stuff. Because, I mean, Andy Reid, he's one of those guys. Andy Reid is the winningest coach on 2 different franchises in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like, that's greatness. Like, that is literally, I don't know if there is a greater coach in NFL history because no other coach has done that. To go to 2 franchises, win a Super Bowl with one, bring them to the championship game, and within a titty of falling out of another one, distracted everybody.
Yeah. Where?
Like that is one of the greatest coaching performances, to win 2 in a row, to go 5 out of 7 years. It's phenomenal. And he got the quarterback, he got these players, but he developed. He has an offense. He had the right guys there, and they let go of Bieniemy this year.
Yeah.
That there's been differences and changes in this team. Oh, he's back. I thought you were frozen for a second.
Oh.
But yeah, they had changes, but Spagnuolo being there, I mean, that really helped get them to the Super Bowl.
It really did. And I mean, kudos to Spags too, because he had to take over an offense that was already dominant, and he could have just left it alone, but he incorporated some of his own stuff too. And I mean, the Chiefs are starting to learn now that A, your players are starting to get a little bit older, and B, it's hard to keep that roster together because guys are going to leave and things are going to change. And the longer you do well, the longer the target's on you, the bigger the target gets. And that target finally got big enough that somebody took him down.
I mean, speaking of targets, do you think then going into next year that the target is still, is it more on the Chiefs or the Eagles going into next year? Because the Eagles are also on the news. I thought, honestly, I guess, well, we'll answer that. You can answer that. I think that the target is still going to be more so on the Chiefs than it is the Eagles.
I think it will depend on how the Chiefs start. If the Chiefs come out slow and they lose 2 out of 3 of their first 3 games, and they start to really show that they've slowed down or they've kind of taken their foot off the gas, then maybe that target shifts over to the Eagles, because the Eagles dominated as much as they did. But the Eagles can kind of, no pun intended, fly by right now with their championship and and sit out there on the wings and watch the Chiefs, because they're still the main target, because they've still been doing this 7 out of 9 years now.
7 straight. I mean, no, 5 out of 7 they've been in the Super Bowl.
5 out of 7.
So 5 out of
7
7 they've been in the Super Bowl. They've been to the AFC Championship game 7 straight years.
It's like the Patriots. I mean, as much as we hated the Patriot dynasty, even when they lost to the Giants, everybody's still focused on the Patriots.
Yeah.
Eagles are going to do the same thing. They're going to sit on the sidelines. They're going to hold their Lombardi, and they're going to watch everybody focus on the Chiefs still, and silently maybe make their way back. Who knows?
And I'm kind of going into this, you got to assume that Vic is going to be back with the team. But I thought that the news of Kellen Moore going to the Saints as their head coach, breaking before the game, was going to hurt that team. They're a very mentally strong team. I mean, we know Philadelphia's a tough place.
Oh yeah,
and I guess you got to be mentally strong. That's why Joel Embiid can't succeed there. Maybe that's not the only reason. But I think they're a really tough team. That offense is. They're not. I mean, I don't think they're losing anybody. Like, they still have Devonta Smith for at least 1 more year. I think AJ Green still has 2 more years. Jalen Hurts, he just signed his deal 2 years ago, I think, or before last season. Obviously Saquon. That team should be held together pretty well, and that's not even mentioning the offensive line.
Yeah,
which is, I mean, the strong point for that Eagles squad.
When they lost one of their guards, like in the second quarter, I believe, they had one of their guards out on the side just trying to stretch himself out. I mean, you saw a little decline, but not a lot.
Yeah, I thought I saw that and thought I saw him come back in. I could be wrong.
He did.
Okay. Because then I think it was the fourth quarter he got banged up again for a second, or started to limp around a little bit, like he got a little stinger.
Yeah.
But either way, like that offensive line, it's kind of, we talk about situations. And we talk about situations in the NFL and where players are drafted to and what that means for their success and what they can do to be successful. In Philadelphia, they've built a team around really the quietest strength. I mean, we talk about the Orange Crush here in Denver, the no-fly zone. I mean, that offensive line should be one of those offensive lines enshrined as an offensive line.
Like the Orange Hush. Orange Hush back in the day.
Like, it should be, it really should be, because they've helped that team continuously get there and be competitive in games year after year after year. Are they going to outlaw the tush push or the brotherly shove, whatever the hell it's going to be called? I don't know. Will that hurt them? I think that offensive line will just find another way.
Yeah.
I think whatever they do, there's something that they're going to scheme up that's going to work for them, and Jalen Hurts will make it work. Maybe, maybe they can't dive straight forward, and I don't know. I don't know how you
count. It has to be a quarterback counter or something after, he has to take a step back and find a hole or something.
Yeah, I have no clue how you're going to end up, changing that play in the NFL, because if you don't allow guys, if you don't allow the push, then you can't allow it on other plays, and we don't have things like the Javonte Williams run earlier this year. If you don't allow these things,
yeah,
like where is that line going to be drawn? And I'll find that really interesting going into this off season. But the one thing that we've said the last few years is like, well, how can they keep doing this? Someone's going to figure it out. And every year they've been successful. So do I think Eagles will be, have the biggest target on their backs? No, it will probably still be the Chiefs. But man, they could repeat theoretically because of that.
Yeah.
It's not like some of the other championships where even going back to the Nuggets or the Avs, like they had a target on their back on both of those, both those teams did. But then when you looked around the NHL, there was still the Lightning. There's Edmonton, who have all those great players. In the NBA, it's always the Lakers, it's always the Celtics. Teams that could help distract. And yeah, they had a bigger target than they were used to. But I really think in the NFL, the Eagles will probably, my guess is they're probably going into this next year looked a little bit lower upon than they should
Yeah.
be.
Well, and you got to give the offensive line coach a lot of credit too, because just 2 years ago, I think it was 2 years ago, they lost Jason Kelsey, who
No,
was
this year.
Was it this year? I
Yeah.
thought he'd been out for 2 years.
Nope, this year.
Good God, I need to sit down and look at a calendar.
Yeah, this was the first season without Kelsey.
Your center is your cornerstone of your offense, your offensive line. They're the leader, they're the man, they're the myth of the legend, and to be able to have that offensive line still be as strong as, actually stronger in my opinion, be stronger than it was when Kelsey was there. That goes to show you how good that coaching is too, not just the players, but the coaching and their scouting.
Yeah,
there it was. Maybe there was a word there.
I mean, I guess I want to turn this into the Broncos. So I know I mentioned a little bit of it earlier, but where does that leave the Broncos? Where does that for us as Broncos fans leave us? I mentioned earlier, Bo Nix. I feel like his ceiling could be a Jalen Hurts type. Something similar where he's good. Is he going to be is he ever going to win an MVP? Probably not. I think much more like I hope that he doesn't turn into, a Jim Kelly type that just can only get you so far.
Yeah.
But like that, I think that would kind of be the ceiling. So you get that. The Broncos were heading into draft season. I know we'll have a lot of time to look at this. The offensive line was better. Now, is that Bo Nix helping them out more so, and Russell Wilson not running into sacks,
Yeah.
And Bo Nix being a little bit better at some of those things? Yeah, probably all those things. Can the offensive line get better? I think we agree that that's a yes, because the running game, while they don't have a Saquon Barkley, none of those guys really looked like they belonged on the field. At times they belonged in spots, but none of them looked like they should be a starter.
Yeah.
Cortland Sutton.
Specialists.
Yeah. Cortland Sutton, I mean, like I said, him holding out last year, I didn't think he should get a new contract. He didn't. He earned the money that he deserved. But on either of those two teams, I mean, where's Sutton in their pecking order? He's obviously third. He would have been third for the Eagles. Probably second, third, maybe on the Chiefs. I mean, you have Xavier Worthy and DeAndre Hopkins. I think DeAndre Hopkins is still better. So offensively, you got to compete. And I know we talked all about the Eagles defense. Broncos got to keep their defense, but you have to be able to put up points too.
Yeah.
So
you can only rely on that defense for so long before they start cracking, because if you're not putting points on the board and you're going 3 and out, they can only have so much energy to go uphill against the offense until there's no point in what we're doing.
Yeah, well, they get sick of it. I mean,
Yeah.
we saw that 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Broncos defense was phenomenal, and it was just like we're doing our job, and the offense can't put more than 17 points on the board.
Yeah.
We sat here every week and it was just like, well, the defense, and then there's always the my point was, well, those other offenses didn't have to try very hard either. So I think that was part of it, but I think the Broncos defense this last year was very elite. I sit here and I also look at how the Eagles built it, because they brought in AJ Brown via trade. That was a first a round 1 trade, but they also drafted Devonta Smith,
Yeah.
and then they brought in Saquon Barkley, and they've gotten obviously good offensive play. It just seeing this game makes me wonder: are the Broncos close enough in? It's hard to tell what the next 4 years will bring. But
Yeah.
can the
No,
Broncos build something like what the Eagles just did in the next 3-4 years?
I think they can, but there's going to have to be some reality checks too, because Peyton's going to have to get out of his own way. We all know how Sean likes to do things his own way, and has this unique vision of what he thinks an offensive team should be, or a team in general. And somebody's got to remind him this isn't 2012 anymore. The NFL has changed, and there are different perspectives now to how a winning team should look. And just because you won a Super Bowl with the New Orleans Saints, good for you, but you have to adapt too, because you don't see them running plays from the 1960s anymore, because you can't. Defenses are different. They're bigger, they're stronger, they're faster, and you can't run a wishbone formation anymore.
I mean, that's very true. One thing I will say that I think I've mentioned it. I know I might have mentioned it on here. I might not have. It might have been on another show. Sean Payton, though, has been very good at drafting.
Yeah.
When you look at his drafts in New Orleans and the guys that he took late, I mean, he was one guy who drafted Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah.
He got Michael Thomas late. He does seem to have an eye for talent. Even Devon Bailey this year. I don't know what happened quite in the second half of the season, but the first half was really damn good. So, right now, for us as Broncos fans, we have to put our faith in Sean Payton and his drafting ability. And that's going to be what can lure players to Denver.
Yeah.
It's having a good young squad, making a trade or two. That's exact. And this is the Philadelphia model in a lot of ways. It's even the Kansas City model in a lot of ways too. Because you look at KC, I mean, they are largely drafted players. I mean, some have been brought in as free agents and obviously trades, but most of those guys are homegrown. So when you're sitting here looking at the Broncos and it's Sean Payton, these next 2 months leading up until April, I mean, Sean Payton, I hope he's doing his homework. I mean, I'm sure he is. He seems like he's an office rat.
He's not taking quarterbacks out golfing and telling other coaches to stay away from Bo Nix.
Yeah, tricking the Vikings into taking Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
I just it's Sean Payton. That's who we have to have faith in. And this year, it showed me a lot. With I didn't have a lot of faith in this team, and Sean Payton helped to really change that tune in a lot of ways. There were still some things that I was a little unsure about, and still am unsure about. Maybe the running game, it didn't quite work out. I think we still question his use of some of the guys and how they were being deployed. But that might have just been Sean Payton trying to find anything that worked.
But you can't abandon the run game either, though.
Yeah, well, you can't unless he lost all faith in all those guys. And when you don't have faith in your players, it's hard to put them out there. I mean, I've used this analogy before plenty of times too, where sometimes you have so much faith in one guy, like in baseball, one pitcher, that you forget to bring the bats. And sometimes you have so little faith in one guy as your pitcher that the game's already lost too.
Yeah.
And you don't bring the bats because the game's lost before you go in. And I think that Sean, that's what makes the Eagles so great. They have that all-star pitcher in Saquon Barkley, but all those other pieces still come and hit. Whereas it felt like with the running game for the Broncos, they had that pitcher that they had no faith in. So it was like, why are we even trying?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what it felt like, because you'd get an explosive play and then there'd be, then the next 3 plays were nothing. And I know there's something for consistency there, but I think that running game, we talked about it in New Orleans with Reggie Bush, with Deuce McAllister, Mark Ingram, Chris Ivory. They had a multitude of running backs that really helped that team succeed year after
Alvin
year.
Kamara.
So, Alvin Kamara, who still hasn't reached 1,000 yards rushing in a season, but all-purpose yards. They used them in all these different ways, and that's kind of where I sit with the running game. And I think that for Sean, we might say, well, the running game isn't as important to him, and it might not be, but it's the extension of the running game. It's those passes outside. It's the guys who can make plays. It's the Reggie Bushes. It's the Alvin Kamaras. Even Mark Ingram was a really good receiver out of the backfield. He wasn't used as much. He was definitely, a ground and pound, 2 yards in the cloud of dust kind of guy sometimes. But
you need those guys.
Use those guys in those spots where they needed to be used. And so for Sean Payton, it's like that's I feel like that's the wish list. It has to be running back this year, because we just saw what the threat of that running game does to a championship caliber team. It held them. They were shocked. They couldn't do anything because they had to stop Saquon.
Yeah.
They couldn't let Saquon beat them. That's what happened to the Chiefs. And granted, they didn't. Saquon didn't score a touchdown. Like, what the hell?
I know.
Everyone's parlays got screwed. Everyone.
I'm glad it was just me.
Oh, man. If I had, I did choose 2 Jalen Hurts touchdowns, which kind of hurt. I thought I had a chance with.
I had a 1 anytime on several guys, but Saquon was also included in that. And it just didn't.
Yeah, so
supposed to be.
I don't know if you feel differently, but I think that that's kind of where it goes for the Broncos. This reinforced that the Broncos need a running back.
Yes.
They need to get a guy in there that can at least keep defenses honest, because I don't think that this wide receiver core, they're not going to become the Eagles. Or the Chiefs when they had Rashee Rice. The Chiefs wide receiver core is still pretty good. I would take DeAndre Hopkins and Xavier Worthy over the Broncos top 2, whichever top 2 you take right now. Even though Hopkins has definitely lost a step, but if you give them back Rashee Rice, who was drafted, who might not be there to start next season, you have to win somewhere all the time.
Yeah.
And I think for the Broncos, being able to win in the running game, especially with Bo Nix, is going to be one of the most important things.
I was just scrolling through Twitter real quick, and instead of Patrick Mahomes had Allstate instead of State Farm, maybe he'd be protected from mayhem like this.
That's good. That's good. That's good.
That was courtesy of NFL memes. So.
NFL memes stole that from someone else.
I'm sure they did
already.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they did.
NFL memes does not have their own original content that good. Speaking of original content, I know we'll go over the commercials.
Yeah.
In our next show a little bit more, but I gotta say, Doritos stood out to me. That was the UFO Doritos. Was pretty damn funny. The Mountain Dew Seal was pretty funny. And then oh my god, why am I blanking on the other one I saw?
The Harrison Ford one?
Harrison Ford with the truck? With the Jeep?
Yeah.
Maybe I missed it. I didn't think that was that fun. I didn't
at the very end, it was he was talking about how much he loves his Jeep. Even though his name is Ford.
Oh, I missed that. I totally missed that.
Yeah,
I was like,
Dunkin' Donuts.
Dunkin' Donuts. Oh, the David Beckham one was pretty good.
That was pretty good with Matt Damon.
Anytime Matt Damon rips on Ben Affleck at the end, I laugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought they were pretty decent for for what they were.
Yeah, there were some pretty good ones this year. It was not as, I don't know. I'm still waiting for that one year to just not know which one to pick. It's been a few years since we've had like just a slew of commercials where you're like, dude, I don't even know who the best is. They were like all so amazing.
Early on, the Michelob Ultra one was pretty good too, with them playing pickleball.
Oh yeah,
That was funny. And Totino's
Willem
was
Dafoe.
weird.
Yeah,
Totino's was weird. The alien getting stuck in the door.
yeah.
They were trying to do something strange. There was another one with people. I don't know. Like I said, I think that at the end, I don't think anything really stood out.
I don't know. Yeah, like you said, the Doritos one I think is the one that stood out most to me. That and yeah, that's probably really the one that really stuck out.
Yeah,
Because I was on my way home and I was thinking about like what commercial am I going to talk about, and that was the first one that popped in my head again.
Yeah, and that probably was there too. Like I said, I definitely. I mean, maybe it's because I chose soda, but the Seal one definitely made me laugh with him singing in Mountain Dew.
Yeah,
It was like, what the hell is this? Like, okay. And that's actually what they said in there. But the Doritos one really stood out to me, which was pretty good. We'll see what gets played more often than others on the other one.
yeah.
But yeah, like I said, as we sit here and kind of wrap it up, I mean, immediate reaction is that it was an exciting letdown
Yes, it was.
of a Super Bowl.
Yes, like you said, it's not going to be memorable for us. It will be in our own unique way. It's not going to be one of those top 10 Super Bowls that everybody's going to have to watch. It's just one of those like, oh yeah, the Chiefs got slaughtered in that game. That score does not tell the story at all. And
Yeah, this isn't going to be on a lot of reruns.
No, except for NFL Network.
Well, yeah, but they'll probably choose some other ones more.
So
often.
for the next 2 weeks, we're gonna show the replay of the Super Bowl. Are we sure we want to do that?
Yeah, right.
Really takes down the Chiefs' aura a little bit, doesn't it?
Which maybe actually, I mean, I guess even to go back to one more time to revisit at the start of the season. Remember when Vic Fangio was rumored to be the Broncos defensive coordinator?
Mm-hmm. And all of us wanted him back.
Yeah, we had no problem with it.
We have no problem with Vic coming back
over Vance Joseph.
Yep.
Of those two, I think I was one that definitely wasn't against it, but I was more so against bringing a former head coach back.
Yeah.
And so that was all encompassing with VJ and VJ and Vic.
Yeah.
But man, I think, I mean, I'm happy for Vic. I think that I don't think that I was angry at him for the way things left, because he got dealt
bad cards.
Bad set of cards. His deck was 2 cards short, whatever. He was playing with half the deck when he was here. And that is unfortunate for him to finally have his chance with the Broncos, and then all of the other stuff that happened. So I think Broncos country, as a fan group, we should be happy for him.
Yeah, I agree.
I think there's maybe some wishful thinking about what could he have done. I don't think Miami hangs 70 on the Broncos if he's ever here.
No.
But yeah, there are some guys that are meant to be coaches, coordinators, placeholders, different, that are meant to play different roles in the NFL. And Big Fangio ring of it, not for the Broncos,
for the Broncos.
But there are guys that are meant to be coordinators, and then there are guys that are, meant to be coaches. And he's one of those guys, much like Wade Phillips, that's meant to be a coordinator.
Yep.
And for our last few minutes, we have Joe here, so bring Joe in for the last few.
What's up,
fellas? Thanks everybody for tuning in tonight. We appreciate you for tuning in. Joe, thanks for joining us for the final farewell.
Yeah, I would like
yeah.
to give my candidacy to nominate Vic Fangio for the Broncos Ring of Fame.
Yeah, Vic Fangio for the Ring of Fame because he won it with another team. No, that doesn't.
Well,
This
dude,
is not
he
a Ray
beat-
Bork like situation. All right,
He beat
Oh.
that's not
Patrick
even a Ray
Mahomes
Bork
once.
situation. He didn't even win it here. Like I said, he just got screwed here, and I think we all know. I don't know. Did you feel like this Super Bowl was a letdown, Joe? As we, like I said, wrap it up. Like I called it an exciting letdown because the game really wasn't that fun. It was a blowout.
Yeah, in a sense, but it's the best kind.
Well, thanks
Yep,
for
there you
joining
go.
us, Joe.
Hey, at least it's not me right now.
Well, we'll see if he starts moving around again before we wrap it up.
So, I mean, yeah, I think for me, I'm okay with how it ends. You know how the season ends. It's a nice little. There he is. He's moving around again.
All right, he's moving around. Let's see if he freezes again.
No, it should be burning just fine. No, it's it was definitely kind of like the best disappointment you could have because the game itself was kind of meh. Like you kept expecting the 28-3-esque comeback. You were just like, where is the crazy shit from Kansas City? And it just like, where is the Steve Spagnuolo defense? Where is that? My glasses are sideways. I haven't been drinking. I don't know what you're talking about. Where is all of this vaunted Kansas City terrifyingness that we've seen for all year? You know, like where was the refs giving them all the calls? I'm kidding. There was, it was funny hearing people at our Super Bowl party. I don't know if you guys had this for you guys' party as well, but that one guy that was like, it's a conspiracy, man. Juju grabbed the guy's face mask, but the refs were still in the Chiefs' pocket. Like, I was glad to see that not really come into play very much. So that made me happy. Like Jimbo says in the background, it was awesome.
Yeah, as Broncos fans, it's awesome now that we don't have to see that, but hopefully we just don't have to see this Super Bowl replayed.
Yeah.
Any other time. The only replays we're going to see are those highlights, and hopefully now that's only when another team is going for a three-peat, I think.
Yeah.
Because they'll play, this is how Kansas City lost their chance at a three-peat.
Also, we can see how the Patriots lost their chance at a three-peat with the Champ Bailey pick almost 6, you know?
Yeah, that wasn't in the Super Bowl, though.
Yeah.
Level satisfying.
Well, no, because has that happened ever? Has the team with the chance to a three-peat actually made it to the Super Bowl anytime?
No, the Chiefs are the only ones.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the first time.
Maybe the Steelers back in the day.
Or like
No, I don't think-
Cowboys, Niners,
No.
some asshole team. No, I'm kidding.
No, the Cowboys definitely didn't make it back.
And I don't think
Cowboys haven't
Washington
sniffed the Super
made
Bowl
it back to
since
back. I don't think.
I was in elementary school.
But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I think that for this game, it was, I don't know. Happy the Eagles won.
Yes.
Joe, you missed it. My whole thing, it all worked out. My juju worked out like it should have. My telling
Awesome.
you all that the Chiefs were the best team in the NFL and they were going to win. My plan all along did work out perfectly. So,
yes,
America,
you
you're
get
welcome.
full credit. That's definitely what it was. It was not Colin quitting. I was going to say,
I did not give in to the dark side.
You know,
It was
speaking of
all an
Juju,
act.
I won $35 off the touchdown to DeAndre Hopkins. Not
Nice.
Juju.
That must be. The Undertaker was at the Super Bowl. Man, it must be nice.
Oh, word. Okay. Yeah.
These people are like just random people that are showing up. I still have yet to see Mike Trout, by the way.
Oh yeah, there was an Undertaker. There was an Undertaker in the one commercial. That was another funny one. The Ray-Ban or whatever
With Chris Hemsworth and Chris Pratt.
with Chris Hemsworth. That was funny. That's the one I was trying to think of earlier. Delete that video. I laughed pretty hard at that. It took me a second to remember. I knew there was one earlier in the game.
Was you
that
see
I
the
laughed
banana
at.
one too?
The banana one. No,
They had another one where Pratt was looking at art, and it was just a banana taped to the wall. And
Okay.
Hemsworth took it down and started eating it.
Oh,
Great.
nice.
And he's like, who eats art? And so they're like trying to go through this refrigerator trying to find another banana to put up. Yeah, you have to look for that one.
I had to take my dog out at some point for a
Oh,
walk,
yeah.
so that must have been at that point.
Makes sense.
Like I said, we'll get the update on the most popular one on the next show. But
the best part is I get to say these words now.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to baseball season.
yes, actually, we have 4 days.
Nope, Cubs already reported.
Oh,
you go.
Cubs report.
Cubs reported today.
Oh my God! All right,
Technically.
well,
Are we doing
still
a
had- I
victory
thought we still had a few
formation today,
days.
Colin?
What's up?
Are we doing a victory formation?
No.
I was gonna say that'd be the perfect time to hit the music. Right when he says welcome to baseball season.
No. I already placed the baseball bets so that both the
Cool.
Yankees and Rockies are going to the World Series
Nice.
on my losing day. I sent you guys the receipts
Smart.
of that. Both
Real
teams
smart.
under their projected totals.
Oh,
I should have bet on the Dodgers winning the World Series.
no.
Well, no, on the losing day, because then it wouldn't
Oh,
have
yeah.
happened. It's that
That would've
reverse
been-
jinx. It's my whole like Kansas City's Chiefs thing.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I remember now.
Well, as Joe is frozen,
There he goes again.
yeah, I'm just pop him off, and
Oh.
I don't know. I don't have
Good.
any other last thoughts, man.
It's
Except
good football season. You know, it was Broncos did better than we expected.
I'm moving to see.
I mean, and I think that's the best part is the Broncos did better than we expected. You know, they've taken a few steps forward. We as fans still have high expectations for this team. Again, I'm not saying Super Bowl. I'm not saying parade. I'm just saying I expect this team to continue to grow and develop into what can be a real good, competitive, perennial postseason team.
Real quick, since I
and
wasn't here for the entire pod, Debo Samuel.
I mean, we're just talking about the Super Bowl, not around the NFL.
Well, yeah, no, like Nick said, not talking about Super Bowl next year for us necessarily, but Debo Samuel, that gets you closer. Debo Samuel.
Well, yeah, we it could be on the list. I don't know, but that's why I'm
So
playing
Super
some
Cup.
daydreaming music right now
Yeah, exactly.
because all it is right during the off season, hope springs eternal
Yeah, I was about to say
Until-
exactly that. Thank you.
until the Broncos draft Paxton Lynch
Or Drew Lock.
or Drew Lock. Well,
And
yeah.
he's frozen again. Thank
Yeah.
you everybody for tuning in tonight. Happy end of football season. Happy baseball season. We appreciate you from wherever you tuned in from tonight. We hope you had fun. If you've been out drinking and partying, have fun. Call an Uber, call a taxi, do something,
home
be
safe.
safe, be smart. For Colin's Anchor and the frozen Joe Goodwin, who's barely moving again. I'm Nick Archuleta. This has been Undrafted Uncensored. Thank you, Michael Spillane, and everybody over at e5280sports.com for hosting us. Thank you, Pikes Peak Sports Cards, our sponsor. And thank you all. Without you guys, we couldn't do this. Whoever's tuned in tonight, my brother
Love you.
over there joining in the chat tonight. Don't forget, you can always join in the chat with us. We love conversing with you, arguing with you, or just telling you you're dumb and wrong.
even though you're not all the time.
No, but yeah, like Big Banjo for
Subscribe.
Ring of Fame.
Yeah,
Like
honestly,
it,
we
share
could be
it,
better at
tell
telling you
people.
that you're dumb and wrong. When you're dumb and wrong, we really should tell you more about it.
Like, share, love, subscribe. We love you guys. Have a good night. Have a good week. Until next time,
Go Rockies!
go baseball.
Go Broncos.